Welcome, welcome. Jamie Hernandez here, founder of Breakthrough Yoga Coaching Method, helping you bridge the gap between your spiritual practice and your business. Today's training is called Now is the Time for Light Workers in Business. Now is the time for light workers in business. If you are a sensitive, if you're empathic, if you're a healer, then, hey Jocelyn, then you know that there are maybe possibilities in your life where you're at right now. And the three possibilities you're at, if you're a coach, if you're just an empathic person, if you're sensitive, is one, in your life, in your business, you can be in recalibration mode. So I'm going to talk about the three stages more in depth. But the first one is recalibration mode. The second one is gaining clarity. Okay, so you might be in stage 2, gaining clarity, and then you might be in stage 3, which is implementation. And here's the thing, we're most likely in one or all of those things in our life, in our business. But if we don't move through a place of clarity and move from a place of devotion, we may be moving through those stages in our life, in our business, from a place of survival. And so survival feels like it's a problem. Survival feels like the time constraint. Survival feels like pressure. Survival feels like there's something wrong. Survival feels like there's something that needs to be done now, right? And what we want to do if we're going to move through those three stages in our life and our business in a way that hones that energy and steers it from that place of clarity and devotion to our mission here on earth, we want to move from the soul. And the soul feels like you're creating your life, and it feels like you're creating life from that place, when you create art, when you create music, when you create dance, when you create whatever it is that you create, whether it's, whatever creative, however you are creativity. Some people are creative in numbers, some people are creative in words, some people have their creative zone of genius. Hey, Chris. Hey, Chrissy. And so it's important to start to understand those three stages, because in recalibration, and I want you to listen up on this one, because so many of us light workers, so many of us beings here on earth are recalibrating. And we're recalibrating, and what it feels like is like it's a breakdown. It feels like there is a major shift happening in our life. It feels like all of our core wounds are emerging, and we can misdiagnose that. And if we're from survival mode, we might think, oh my God, I haven't healed enough. Oh my God, all my stuff is coming up. Oh my gosh, and then you almost can even move into a state of depression, because you don't understand that recalibration is actually a time where your body, literally your DNA, is recalibrating itself for our future self and our future humanity. So I want to tell you a story that will make sense. There is a dragonfly. So everyone knows what a dragonfly is, right? And most of us see it, and we see it from when it's out of the water. But actually, dragonflies, they live when they first, exist, they live underwater as this very colorless being predator, okay? And they have they're gray. And then suddenly they emerge and they kind of find a blade of grass into the sun, into the earth. And all of a sudden, like they literally, their whole like thoracic spine uncurls. And they literally have this kind of, it's a very scientific thing, but this kind of like a hydraulic swirl combustion thing happening, right? It's very chaotic. And all of a sudden, they become this like magnificent, like, and if you've ever seen the wings of a dragonfly, flying, iridescent, like magical thing. Okay? And so if we, for example, were to take that analogy as that one that was once first in the water as a predator living their life, to that stage, okay, so this is the recalibration, that stage where the thoracic spine was uncurling, it was complete chaos. And we only saw that point, and we didn't realize that we're actually recalibrating to become a new mutation of ourself, right? Or a new human that has a different DNA. And it's quite scientific, but the DNA right now that people are looking at is shifting, and there are different components, possible components to the structure that are adjusting to our DNA. So that means our makeup as a human and from what we're built from is literally mutating into a different version of humanity. And if you understand yourself as a healer, you understand that this moment in the chaos of the world is really the moment where this recalibration is moving us towards our future self. And if we understand that, then we can allow ourselves to recalibrate. And in this recalibration time, we can understand that all of our patterns, all of our wounds, everything that we have subconsciously been living through is starting to emerge. So we want to allow that to be this opportunity, right? Because here's the thing about entrepreneurship, and one thing that I don't know people really recognize. The most successful entrepreneurs are doing very deep work, subconsciously, spiritually, on a soul level. Why? Because from an energetic level, if you have a subconscious, especially if it's something from a very young age that we don't even remember, because all of us have trauma, okay? So let's just put that out on the table. All humans have experienced some form of trauma. And the trauma that we experience when we're younger it's not even in our memory landscape. But when us healers who are, doing the body work, doing the spiritual work, doing the somatic work, doing the energy work, we start to see the emergence of things that we didn't even remember, right? So most of the people, all of my clients I've worked with, we, in our very first part of the work, we're always understanding that, one, you have a chronic emotion when it comes to creating your life. Okay, let me know in the comments what that is. You have a chronic emotion that it maybe is confusion. You have a chronic feeling in your body, because we all have our survival mode intact. So there's going to be a certain feeling that happens when you move towards your dream. And when you're really close towards your dream, and it's literally on the other side of the wall, all of your protective mechanism is going to come up. And how did that protection mechanism come into play? It came into play when we were very young and we needed to protect ourselves from a certain trauma. And then so that gets imprinted in your physical somatic body, in your nervous system. There's a loop and an idea in your mind, the way you literally perceive reality. And there's an energetic vortex, there's an energetic contraction that the energy is moving through. And so that energy, if it is not liberated, it will always need some energy, some physical, mental, and energetic attention. And it's always at this kind of unconscious level. So if we're creating, let's say, our masterpiece, for example, and we want to create our masterpiece, but let's say, for example, we need we need all the colors of the rainbow, but we only have green and blue. Sometimes we're trying to create that masterpiece, but it doesn't completely feel like, I'm creating my life, I'm doing the thing, maybe I'm doing the mindset stuff, I'm working hard, I'm hustling, but it doesn't necessarily feel in alignment with what we truly want. And that's why I'm talking about when we move through recalibration, gaining clarity, and implementation, if we're not moving from the soul, the one that feels like it's creating life, it's creating a masterpiece, it's creating a piece of art, then we're always going to start to feel like, this is not exactly it. And it looks like when we're creating, it looks like You're doing something you're good at in your zone of excellence, but it's not necessarily something you love. Okay, let me repeat that. Very often, us gifted people, we're doing something that we're good at, but it's not necessarily something we love. It's really close to the version that we are striving for, and maybe it's a stepping stone, but if we don't understand that it's a stepping stone, we sometimes can get stuck in this neutral place where we're doing what we're doing, we're kind of good at it, but we don't necessarily wake up with excitement, even some fear, and even, but it's just there's something there that is not aligned. Let me know if in the comments this makes sense. So in recalibration, what's important to understand is what's happening, right? You're literally becoming a new human through the nervous system that is shifting, through the mental constructs that are emerging, and an opportunity to be seen, and through energetic shifting. And so this is a time of going into your own medicine. So if you have your own way of healing, it's now time to take that medicine. If you have that way where you know you can go deep into your body, you can go deep into your mind, you can go deep into energy, then now is the time to take that medicine or continue to study with the people that offer you that container. But it is also the time to create an autonomous relationship to your healing ability. Meaning to say, sometimes we get in a healing loop and we heal, and then all of this stuff comes up, and then we think we have to go back into the healing loop. Instead of going into the deep process, having the muck come up, and then really anchoring in your spiritual practice, your rituals, your prayers, your meditation, your daily things that you need to do to know that your body is going to feel stable, whether that's taking vitamin D, whether that's weight training, whether, having those things established so that you develop this autonomous relationship to your practice. That's what recalibration is really trying to offer you. It's not a place where, oh my God, now everything's coming up and I'm like so broken and I'm never going to heal. We misdiagnose that, and then we go for another healing journey. And it's not that you do healing alone, but you are on your own in this path. And especially as a healer, you do have a direction, a vision, and a mission. And so my next stage, the next stage I want to talk about is gaining clarity. Because when you are in your body somatic practice, when you're in meditation, when you're doing what creates stability in your body, mind, and spirit, something's going to happen, and those are going to be creative downloads. Okay? It's going to be all these ideas coming in. And if we are not attuned to those ideas that are coming in, it's going to be overwhelming. Because especially when you're highly sensitive, right now, it's like we can receive and feel everything at a faster rate. And so all of the potential realities that are coming through energetically through a clear, open mind are going to come. And if you don't know how to literally bring that into the 3D by writing it down, by observing it, by continuing to see it over and over again, then it's going to feel overwhelming. And here's how I want you to discern this. These downloads that you're getting are potential realities that you always, here's the thing, lean in on this one, you've always known to be true. So there's a version of your life that you've always intuitively remembered to be true about yourself, either in a feeling, either in a vision, either, when you're younger, you're able to tap into your spirit guides, or, there's something you've always known. And right now, in this time on earth, is when these things are coming online. And because it's such a strong energetic vortex, if we are not clear in our minds and we don't steep ourselves in gaining mental clarity, and that's not by thought, that's by silence, then it's just going to be a lot of ideas. And what's going to happen is you're just going to manically manifest things. And if you're not fully processed and autonomous in the recalibration stage, it's going to be really hard for you to actually process the emotions that are coming up as you try, and maybe it fails, or there's, in entrepreneurship and life, there's a constant like trying and failing and then succeeding. And if we don't know how to process our own emotions during that time where things don't seem to be working, then the clarity just becomes confusion. So in the mental clarity stage, it is super important to anchor yourself in the practices that clear your mind. And again, it's okay to be in a container, but understand while you're in that container, whether it's chanting, whether it's daily meditation, whether it's dance, whatever it is that kind of clears your mind, know that you will receive answers that you've been asking, or visions of what your life and potential life could be. And if we're not now, then here's the thing, taking note of those things and observing them and saying, wow, that vision and that intuitive hit keeps on reoccurring. Then in that moment of clarity, it's going to just feel like a dream, right? Because that's what vision is. Vision is the dream and the potential of your life. So if we don't understand that, it's actually our soul saying, go try this. The thing that makes you excited, not the thing that you're trying to figure out and you're worried about it, that's survival. When soul speaks, it's sort of just like that. And when you think about it, you're slightly scared and slightly excited at the same time. And there's a slight knowing that, I've always known that. And if we've not created enough space for creativity to come through, and we've not learned how to anchor those ideas in the 3D world by simply writing them down, okay, here are the stages. You write that idea down. You observe it, you see how it is happening in your life, in your business with your clients, and in your personal training, and in your interactions with other human beings. And then there's a theme, right? There's a theme. And there's these kind of like audacious kind of visions that you have of your life. Because when you create your life, and especially if you create your masterpiece, it's not going to be this comfortable neutral zone. It's going to be like, ooh, that feels exciting. I've never done that before, right? Because the soul is here to experience. It's not here to play a game that is going to feel neutral or safe. And that also looks like I got a certain opportunity. Like, okay, if I give you a tangible example, I have a certain money in my bank account, but I'm just not going to touch it. And I'm not saying not to save your money. I'm just saying I'm not going to touch it to either invest in something or allow myself to kind of move towards my vision. And again, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying to go blow all your money. But if you're just holding on to something without moving it anywhere, into some kind of investment, into some kind of savings, into some kind of action that's going to help your business, then you stay in neutral. And neutral feels very, very comfortable. It feels very safe. But guess what? You kind of stay in the same place. So that mental clarity needs to be something that you are able to kind of play with, imagine from the soul place, imagine your life and how it can be. And so it's another part of that mental clarity is raising the frequency to hold space for that vision. Because the frequency of play and the frequency of innocence, the frequency of creativity is what holds the vision. when we're in problem solving, when we're in worry, when we're like something's wrong, that frequency is a very hard frequency to actually manifest something you've never done before. But when you project yourself into a future potential with that joy, with that curiosity, guess what the subconscious does? It starts to look for that solution. But if you're in a problem-solving reality, guess what it does? It looks for the problems that is an obstacle to that solution. Let me know if that makes sense in the comments. Okay, I want to hear what you think about this so far, right? So there's recalibration, and there's a stage of getting mental clarity, and they're probably all happening for you at the same time. But I would say there's sometimes the recalibration can feel really like you're going down deep into the darkness and really working with the muck in your subconscious and your core wounding. Okay, but then you kind of start to emerge out of it. Now, the last stage is implementation. Now, here's important because we're in a culture where, if we're going to kind of get our business running, we really pride ourselves on the doing aspect. And I'm not saying not to take action. But when we take action from survival, when we take action from problem solving, then what happens is it becomes like these manic manifestations, especially if you're not crystal clear on who you are and why you're here. That comes in gaining clarity. Then you're going to try to get things done or do things, but it's never really going to be the thing that you want. And it's always going to look like these, there's a lot of people I know who are kind of starting these businesses after 2 years of not doing anything. And some are doing it from clarity, and some are just doing it because it's like, now I got to get to implement. I got to do something. But they haven't gone back to that place of recalibration. They haven't gone back to that place of mental clarity to take action and understand what really is my North Star. So in implementation, we want to understand what is the direction that I'm going in, and what is the direction I've always known? What is the place where I'm continuing to go towards the vision in my business? Because here's what's going to happen, and it happens all the time with my clients. We have these sessions, and they're, first they're kind of in survival, and like, oh my God, I don't think this is going to work. And then we do some kind of practice to liberate that energy. And then there's a mental clarity, and there's like a download. And they're like, yeah, I've always known that I'm going to be speaking in front of a lot of people. I've always known I'm going to be working with this population. I've always known I'm gifted to work with kids. I've always known I'm gifted to wake people up in a certain way. Okay? And then so they get that download, and then if they're not steeped and create autonomy in the recalibration part, then as soon as they move towards what they want, their core wounding is going to stop them. Because remember what I said, in recalibration, there's a need to liberate energy that is being held in a subconscious patterning that is of protection. And you can't fully paint the full picture if you only have green and blue. Let me know if that makes sense, right? It's like if you only have a certain amount of energy to move towards it, there's always going to be like one pedal on foot on the pedal and one on the gas, because there's a lot of subconscious, unconscious energy needing to protect yourself. So it's kind of like you're going to move towards something, but you're going to kind of hold yourself back. Or you're going to go into something where you're implementing towards a goal that you don't really want, but it kind of feels safe. Because here's the thing. All of these stages, what we're looking for at our base is safety. So at an instinctual level, it's safety in the body. It's safety, with our, even in our mental landscape, and it's safety energetically. And it's also safety for the soul's voice to come through. So when you have these big visions and these like crazy audacious dreams, there is also an element of feeling safe to be able to speak those into existence. And both parts of our experience as a human and a soul needs a container. So if you were to work with me, it's like we give space for both the survival needs, the need to be safe, and we look at where that safety has rooted from. So if you had trauma in your life and it's something from a long time ago when you were younger, and that hasn't had, we just didn't have the capacity to process it, you need a container to be able to process those emotions, to be able to process the emotional body, to process the nervous system that feels slightly on edge all the time, to process the mind that constantly loops in a certain pattern that we don't even realize is happening, right? A process where the body can stay stable. So that's in our first part of our program. We ground in the body, we process emotion, we gain mental clarity, and we start to master energy, because all of that is going to help you create stamina for where you're going, your vision. So let me know if this is making sense, okay? So in implementation, what we want to look out for is that mental clarity. Remember I talked about observe it, write it down, watch the patterns, watch the thread. And if it's always a reoccurring vision, then we start to know that is our North Star. And here's what happens. If we don't acclimatize in stage 1 and 2, and we're moving towards our North Star, what it looks like is I'm going to move towards my North Star, but then all of a sudden something happens and I get triggered and my emotions get like out of whack because I'm trying to move towards my dream, but it's not working out. And then I change the North Star. I change the direction. I've always known I wanted to go to Africa, but all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? Let me just go to Vietnam, right? And then we move towards that, and then we start to realize, oh God, that's not the place I want to go. And then we start going into confusion. So it's really important to get crystal clear on your North Star. It's also really important to get centered in who you are and why you're here. And that comes from that deep work. It comes from and here's the thing, when you are a healer, when you're a coach, when you're an empath, you've been already doing this work. So these are assets that you already have. And that's why I work with healers and coaches with their asset, because it's not hard, right? To move into things that, it's like I just was on a call with a client the other day, and he's like, you've made me feel emotions that I've never felt before, and memories that I've never even remembered, right? And so now that process, what that's going to do is going to liberate the energy for where he's going, because there's always kind of like, I want to do this, and then this is what the mind will do. Okay, when we are not steeped in mental clarity, you're going to say what you want, and you're like, oh. And then immediately after that, you're going to say something to diminish it, or why it's not reasonable, or you like in 2 seconds. Or that voice of the soul is so overwhelmed by the problem-solving reality that it's there, but it's almost like, when somebody says like, yeah, I think you would really like that. And you're going to really like that. But you don't even pay attention to it. Okay? So that's kind of when it's really, there is so much protection happening around where you're going. So here's the interesting thing. In our spiritual practice, I want to just end with this last concept, and then we'll review. What you start to realize in any of your practices, and we all kind of, this is like this taboo thing of understanding, like, there is no other moment than now. And that's a great concept. And we all kind of understand it. But when you develop an autonomous practice, so you're not attached to constantly healing, you're not attached to constantly looking at your wounds, you're steeped in surrendering to the experience that you are a human and you are a soul, and you're going to experience both the painful suffering and the bliss of living life. And when you are not continually projecting yourself into the future or projecting yourself into the past or kind of randomly distracting yourself, you start to learn how to embody what it really means to be in the now. And on a kind of spiritual level, if there is no time and space, which is what so much of the spiritual teaching is teaching us, there is no time. Time is eternal. We're constantly, as a soul, moving through experience to experience, this lifetime, maybe next lifetime, maybe your next lifetime you're a star, or you're a dog, or you're completely something else that we don't even understand on this planet. If you are God living within itself, then the moment is always eternal. So that human thing that we do to constantly think, when I finally get there, or when I finally heal that, or when I finally get, it starts to dissolve, because you start to realize, if this is the only eternal moment, and it's pretty much going to be like this for eternity, I may as well surrender and receive what's happening. And again, these might just be words for you, but I want to talk about it, and there is a reason why so many spiritual teachers talk about it, because one day, if you continue on your path, which is, I think, as healers, as empaths, as coaches, we almost are compelled, there's no choice. You will start to, maybe in this lifetime, maybe not, truly understand that this moment really is eternal. Meaning to say, if you're God, you're constantly experiencing yourself, and God is always in the eternal moment. Then you may as well, right, expand and surrender to the experience that is human, and the experience that is human is a mode of survival and is a mode of soul. Okay? So let me know if that kind of like went over your head, if you got that. I want to share that with you, because going for the North Star is not to get to the North Star. Going to the North Star is just there is such a thing as coming here on earth and remembering and waking up to who you are. And when you start to remember who you are and why you're here, everything you do in your business and in your life becomes centered there. Okay, let me know if that makes sense. So when you do these superficial things like marketing and money and sales, you're doing it from a level of certainty. You're doing it from a level of transmission. The reason why I'm trying to teach all of our healers on earth, our light workers, our coaches, is because I know if I help wake up other people and make it practical for them to do their work here on earth, the practical things that we kind of are sometimes very aloof and very detached from, the marketing aspect, the sales aspect, the money aspect, right? This 3D world. And we create a harmonious relationship to being able to come into the sacred masculine and implement what our soul is calling us to do, the next most profitable action energetically and in our bank account. Then as a light, what I call light worker team, we begin to shift, and all of those dragonflies in the water, as they move and they recalibrate, we can help them recalibrate, because that's what healers do, right? In that recalibration stage, we are holding space and we're bringing down the light for others to awaken to their future self, to their new mutation. So when we do anything, right, that looks like social media, marketing and money and sales, we're very crystal clear on why we're doing it. So if you were to work with me, like, that is going to be at the heart of what we work with. Because then when you do everything else, it becomes, again, this playful ability to create your life from that artistic, masterful way, you know? And when I say artistic, don't get me wrong in thinking like, oh, artistic means I paint. It means whatever you are creative, whatever your creative genius is. Maybe you're good at numbers. Maybe you're good at like building stuff. Maybe you're good at like, there's just so many things that you are just, like my husband's really, he's so good at seeing businesses from this like bird's eye point of view, and he creatively starts to, manipulate all of the operations of it all to kind of create this masterful work of art, right? That has the business running smoothly. So your creative genius is that thing when you're in flow, when you're like, I meant to do this. It's like, it's just something that I love and something I just do. So let's recap, okay? If you are a light worker, light workers, first of all, are those who are literally bringing soul, which is light, okay? So it's not a physical manifestation, it's literally light, down here in your own body and down into Mother Earth. Then we spread it out to the world to awaken other people to their soul. So that's what a light worker is. And again, you may be in recalibration. So you might have done lots of deep soul work. And now it's time to take your medicine and develop an autonomous relationship with that medicine, knowing when you need help and you need a container and a safe place to kind of purge all of your stuff. But also, as you are alone in the world, you anchor in your practice, whatever that may look like. And you know what that is. You know what keeps you centered by now, right? So don't fool yourself and let the mind think, I haven't figured it out now, because you compare yourself to some guru that has some special way of doing things. You know exactly what you need. You're intuitive. You're sensitive. You know exactly what your body needs. You know exactly how much rest you need. You know exactly what kind of food you need. And if not, you're figuring out. You know, like, what keeps you most centered. Okay? So recalibration is everything is breaking down so that we can come into our future self. And we can really anchor in the spiritual practices that we know so that we can share it with other people. So that other people, when they're in their breakdown, we have developed a process because we've been practicing for so long. And then number 2 is gaining clarity, right? This place, creativity needs space. So this place of constantly clearing the mind so you can receive the creative downloads that come through and watch and observe and write them down so that you can see the thread. And once you start to see the thread, you're like, oh, okay. That's where my soul continues to whisper me to go to, that direction. Right? So your intuitive hits need to be heard and need to be written down, because that's a first stage of manifestation, to bring something out of the ethers and into physical form. And that's where the ideas of how are going to come into play. And as intuitive, your creativity comes in first. Your creative downloads comes in first before your problem solving. And where we get it mixed up is we problem solve first. Like, oh, okay, maybe I have to open up a studio. Maybe I need more students. Maybe I need to make more money. Maybe I need to do this Facebook funnel. And it's like, that's not, that is not going to solve the problem. If you don't know who you are and why you're here, if you don't know who you want to work with, who your dreamiest clients are, and you don't have a clear process of how you help them based on your own synergy of your own work, okay? So this doesn't mean go out and get another certificate because you need a process. No, you have processes. So what I teach you in our program is to understand who your dreamiest clients are and how to develop that expert processes that you only have, okay? Just because I teach yoga, meditation, and I do dance and somatic work and body work and energy work, those are my tools. But the way I synergize those tools are unique to me. Does that make sense? And the way you synergize your tools is unique to you. That's your differentiator. So if we're going to talk marketing, that's what differentiates you. Okay, so we get really clear on that. And we continue to steep on who we are and why we're here, so that when we do what we're doing and when we're creating and when we feel like we're in the grind and it feels like work and effort, we come back to that creative flow. Like, why am I here? Why am I doing all of this anyway? Why am I talking to my phone? Why did I wake up and dress up today? Right? It comes from this centered energy. And when it comes from that centered energy, those who are meant to work with you magnetize towards you, and they also feel your level of certainty. And in sales, that's what people are drawn to, right? They're drawn to your level of certainty and clarity and process that they know that you're going to get them from A to B. And lastly, it's implementation, okay? Implementation is, okay, so now that I have my vision, the question that us sensitive need to ask, what is the next most profitable action, financially and energetically? Because for us sensitives, sometimes it's nice to have an outline, but when that strategy gets a little too complex, guess what happens? We don't do anything. So if you were in a container with me, I would keep that kind of bird's eye view of the big plan, while I feed to you the next most profitable action energetically and in your business. I might teach you the outline, but I'm not going to say, here's the outline, here, now go follow it. I'll point out specifically, so this is what high-end coaching is. When you're in a premium, high-ticket coaching container, right? You get custom attention to where you're at in your implementation process, where you're at in your business strategy, where you're at in your spiritual practices and awakening, and what do we need to do in both of those sections to make sure that you're taking the most obvious action, the most profitable action, the most energetic action. That is not, you're not just going to do it to grind it out and then feel drained. You're going to do it And then you're also going to do it in a way that is sustainable for yourself, for your body, for your relationships. Because when you're building a business, it's not just about the business and the numbers. It's about your whole entire life. Everything you do, especially when you're an entrepreneur living out your vision, it's important that all aspects of your life be taken care of. Okay? So if any of this resonates for you and you want a container where you can be in your recalibration and you have a guide bring you through that on a physical level, on a mental level, and on an energetic level, because those three aspects need to be addressed. Sometimes we just do it from the physical, sometimes we just do it from a mindset point of view, and sometimes we just do it from an energy point of view. But those combinations are just parts of the puzzle. We need to get grounded in the body because we live here on 3D Earth. We need to understand how to clear the mind and process emotion. And we need to literally know how to transmute energy so that we can put it to where we want to go. All of those things. It can't just be this intellectual understanding or some physical or some etheric, energetic, spacey thing. Okay? And if you want a safe container, to work with those deeper unconscious things that you didn't even realize were there, and learn how to transmute it. And then, okay, so now what are we going to do, right? What are we going to do in our business, right? And then have accountability, because here's the thing. We don't understand that pretty much any success that that's happening is built on habits. And any habits built is most likely because you're in a container with somebody who's holding you accountable. I'm not saying you always have to have somebody holding your hand, but when you're going for your big dreams, you better believe all of your SHIT is going to come up. And we have all the answers, but we don't necessarily implement, because sometimes we have the answer of what to do next, or we might even have this whole roadmap, but we don't necessarily do it, or we do it in a way we're like, and then we come back. So the accountability is that person that's going to mirror back your truth, mirror back where maybe you're stuck, mirror back, okay, wipe all of that out and just do this. For most of my clients is just go talk to your clients. And they want to do like, oh my God, this funnel and this website and this whole social media thing. Yeah, we're going to strategize on that, no problem. But at the beginning, when you need revenue and cash flow, and you need to understand how you're going to message and market, you need to learn how to just talk to one person. And especially you already have a network of people, right? And so that would be the next most profitable action. So it's things like that, so that the container, right? And I need this for myself too. I'm getting on a call with my mentor just after this call. There needs to be some kind of structured container and some kind of accountability for you to continue to implement the next step, because otherwise you're going to have the idea, you're going to try to implement it, you're not sure if you did it, or you're going to do it and you're going to have the idea, and 7 seconds later you're going to, that's not a good idea, and then you don't do it, or you do something more that's in your comfort zone, or you get distracted because somebody else says, oh, look at this is a good idea, look at this like shiny object here, look at this business that has nothing to do with your vision. So hopefully this makes sense. I was on a little bit of a download here, and if you are interested in being in a container where you're going to be held on a spiritual level and accountable for your dreams, and have some very actionable business strategy that are simple and based on just basic fundamentals of business, then DM me and let me know. Jamie, I'm ready for a breakthrough yoga coaching call, right? And then on that call, here's the thing, we're already going to start the deep work. We're already going to go into the 3-level clearing. So we're going to look at where those unconscious blocks are in the body, in your mind, and in your energy. Because guess what? That's going to be the domino effect. And you're going to be like, I've never even thought of that moment I didn't even remember that happened, right? But that thing that is so unconscious because it wasn't ready to be dealt with, now it is. Um, now it's time to liberate. So that's why this is called Now is the Time for Light Workers in Business. It really is now, because now the energy and the vibration is such that our healing is unfolding. And we're moving into the new human. We're moving into the future self. We're moving into that place. And, you know, if we don't have some kind of container, safe container to grow our business, right? The dreams, the audacious dreams that some people think we're crazy to even think of, and to heal our core wounds, we're going to get stuck in the recalibration. You know, when the nymph of the dragonfly was moving into dragonfly, and the thoracic spine is like uncurling, and there's this hydroponic thing going on to create like a new structure. We're going to get caught in that chaos, not understanding the chaos is actually the foundation for our creative life and our masterpiece. So DM me, let me know, Jamie, I'm ready for a breakthrough coaching call. If you have any questions about what I'm talking about today, let me know what resonates with you. Let me know like if any of this stuff makes sense, because I am talking to those who are already in this dimension. For some people, it's like what I'm saying could be gibberish because they're not necessarily in this light dimension. Okay, so if you need help with that recalibration stage, if you need help with the gain clarity, if you need help with implementation, then DM me, let me know I'm ready for a breakthrough yoga coaching call. I'm going to send you an application so that I can see sort of the unconscious mind at work and see where perhaps there are some places that are stuck. Then we're going to get on the call, go into the 3-level clearing, and then, you know, we're going to talk about the program. And you're going to have your questions, and and it's a chance to actually coach with me, because the call is it's a coaching, and you're going to see how it functions and if this kind of work works for you. And most who get on the call and are ready for that clearing are the ones that are ready, because it's like it's not everyone that can go into their deep subconscious core wounds. You know, it's not maybe their thing for this lifetime. Yeah, but for some people it is. So if that's you, if you're the healer, if you're the empath, if you're the sensitive, if you're the light worker, if you have this mission in your heart and you're kind of getting stuck into overwhelm, confusion, right? Fear, sometimes excitement, but going back into confusion, then DM me. And I also have the link in the comments. Katie will put it after this. I post this live. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know. If you're on the replay, hashtag replay. If you're live, hashtag live. I'm going to come back and answer all of your questions. See you next week, 10 a.m. So I've shifted it to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursdays. Hope that works for you. Bye, guys.